Here we go. It is finally time for one night only, the Night of the Legends. It is the show, the pay-per-view where we honor those from our past. And I can tell you that WCW does have a class for this year. Even though there's not a segment, I will tell you why there's not a segment for the Hall of Famers. And that is because some of the Hall of Famers are unable to be brought in. So I'm just, instead of giving them a segment on the card, I will tell you who I would have inducted for the, WCW Hall of Fame Clash of 2000. But before we get into the show, I want to say something. Fact of the matter is, I have not really been fair to WCW, World Class Championship Wrestling, or TNA, any of the Let's Plays. I have not been fair to any of them. It is not because of, it's not because of lack of interest, because I'm still interested in each and every one of them. It's just that I guess I just have to get back into figuring it out, and the reason why you haven't seen the gaping hole in the videos is because I guess I have, with the podcast, it's given me other content to put up and not be solely dependent on TEW like I have been in the past. But I will try my hardest to get back into it and get all the Let's Plays under control, including the invasion, and get the invasion kicked off with a bang. As I don't know I can't remember at this point where I am with the invasion. Either in the first episode, as in WrestleMania, or the second or third episode with Monday Night Raw. But either way, let me know down in the comment section below if you're still interested in all the series and want to know what's going on in TNA, in WCW. Well, you're going to find out what's going on in WCW, and also in World Class Championship Wrestling. Because I have not done my best to stay on top of it, and I will try my harder to stay on top of things in the future. So, with that being said, let's jump right into Night of the Legends. One night only. And by the way, we are up north in Canada, in British Columbia to be specific, and, I guess since I clicked on it, simple. The reason why I clicked on it is because I wanted to see if there were any, legends that I could bring in that were local talent, and honestly, I forgot I did it in Canada. I forgot I was doing it in Canada. And the reason why Benoit's unemployed is because I let him go back in January, and WCW and WWE did not sign him. And I also released Perry Saturn, but he's not from Canada. But either way, we got the Battle Royal going. I don't know how many people were in it. I would say around 15, give or take. But either way, Sid Vicious won. Meng, Rick Steiner, and Mike Rotunda were the final four, with Sid Vicious, of course. Meng was the final elimination. Meng got the most eliminations over the course of the match. So even though Sid Vicious won, I would say that Meng was a top competitor in the match and had a really good showing from the fact that basically not only was he a Final Four member, but he also got the most eliminations. But either way, that was a pre-show match. And now we go into the opening contest of the pay-per-view, and it is the Cruiserweight title match Juventud Guerrera versus Dean Malenko, and shocking and surprisingly, Juventud Guerrero actually wins. I didn't expect Juventud Guerrero to win. I honestly thought that Dean Malenko was going to get the victory and become Cruiserweight champion. You know, you could say at this point that the Cruiserweight title meant nothing. And I would agree with you. The Cruiserweight title meant nothing at this point, as did the television title. The television title meant nothing. Most of the titles in WCW had very little meaning. That's one of the reasons, though, why I put the belt on Eddie Guerrero, because Eddie is the type of guy that could go out there and have a good match against anybody. And yes, putting him in a feud against Norman Smiley isn't the best way to use him. But I guess I was just testing Norman Smiley. And to go back, I just want to say this, that I don't think things are over with Dean and Hoovy, at least for right now, because I'm still thinking about having him have a rematch or another match, because, well, basically the competition in the Cruiserweight division is very limited, so giving Dean another match is not so much stupid as it is out of necessity to give Hoovy a capable competitor. Now here, well, shit. I didn't expect Norman Smiley to get as bad as he did, but Mike Sanders getting a 14 in-ring performance compared to Eddie Guerrero's 70 really should show why there was very little doubt that Eddie would ever win the feud. But now I'm going to say that this is also the reason why I made Mike Sanders a manager, because I knew his in-ring performance wasn't very good, or his in-ring skills was not very good. So either way, this really puts Norman and Mike behind the 8-ball in this feud, and I don't really know where I'm going after this, but I can tell you that it may be a double title match where the winner becomes both television and United States champion. Was there really any doubt? Now, if you don't remember, let me plug the rest of the show. Randy Savage, in what could be and what likely will be his last match in the WCW as an active competitor, chose his final competitor to be one of his greatest rivals in the WCW, that being Diamond Dallas Page. And Diamond Dallas Page will face Randy Savage one-on-one later tonight. To go along with that, Ric Flair, Scott Steiner for the WCW World Heavyweight title. Hulk Hogan versus the Total Package Lex Luger, and the Outsiders versus Harlem Heat in a rematch from Super Brawl, because at Super Brawl the Outsiders walked away on the match and got themselves counted out because they felt like they have nothing to prove. But after I apologize, actually it was Mayhem, because Super Brawl there was a 8-man tag team match, and the 8-man tag team match went to the babyfaces. But tonight, this match went to the heels. Jeff Jarrett got the victory over Road Warrior Animal, because I can honestly tell you that Road Warrior Animal may not be here for the rest of the year. You know, like his run was never a long-term run. Let's put it that way. We move forward. Diamond Dallas Page versus Randy Savage. You know, let's see why this match. Declining ability and inconsistency. So basically, because both men are nearing time decline, and also because of the fact that Randy, if Randy is not in his 50s, he's closing in on his 50s, and with that being the case, it may be time for him to, well, you look at it and you say, fantastic heat, great match, it should have been in the 80s, you're right. But there's a reason why it wasn't. And either way, the match ends with both Randy Savage and, well, it ends with Randy Savage walking over to Diamond Dallas Page and shaking hands with DDP as a sign of respect. And also, Diamond Dallas leaves the ring. Yes, I did not include this, but I should have. Diamond Dallas leaves the ring and allows the fans to show a sign of respect for Macho Man Randy Savage, because this is Randy's last match as an active wrestler in the WCW. And his future in the company is in doubt. So he gets his opportunity to go out as a legend. And I give the fans the opportunity to thank Randy for almost 6 years of service to the WCW. But either way, we move forward as Dr. Death Steve Williams goes up against David Taylor in Steve's second match in the WCW. And Steve Williams gets the victory over Dave Taylor. Speaking of one of the big matches for the show, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash versus Harlem Heat, and Hall and Nash get the victory over Harlem Heat. And I realize now that you all may not have seen the name of the feud, and the name of the feud is Losing Team Must Disband. Well, I'm going to tell you that neither one of them are going to disband tonight. That's because the feud isn't over yet, and it will end at Uncensored with one of the teams disbanding. And I will say, the other team possibly being the ones who challenge for the tag team titles. I haven't really decided yet what the winner of the feud gets, other than the satisfaction of staying together. But the reason why is because of, if you remember the promos from earlier in the year, Kevin Nash, the Outsiders and Harlem Heat are the last of a dying breed. They are the last of the prominence. They are the last tag teams from the old school WCW tag team division, when it was among the best tag teams in the world, like the likes of the Steiner Brothers and the Nasty Boys and the Faces of Fear. And now I guess you could say it's in transition, because the belts are still on Kidman and Mysterio, who will be defending the titles later tonight. But either way, they're the last of a dying breed, and both teams, in my opinion, have very little left to prove in WCW, and that's why they need it. That's why it needs to be where the losing team disbands. That last segment saw, finally, honestly, I hate to say it, but I don't remember what that last segment was about, but I think it was about Terry Funk basically saying that he wants a piece of Bam Bam Bigelow's ass, and it brought together a brawl between the two, because I doubt an entertainment segment with Terry Funk would have gotten a 45. Yes, maybe an entertainment segment with Bam Bam Bigelow might have, but not with Terry Funk. Speaking of the tag team champions, Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman put the belts up against David Flair and Crowbar, who won a title shot against the Filthy Animals at Saturday night in a tag team match on that show. But either way, it was basically a way to get Kidman and Mysterio on the show. Because, yes, there are plans for Kidman and Mysterio, just not right now. Partially because one of the major tag teams that I have, one half of the team is injured, so I'm very limited to what I can do, and I'm waiting to have a long-term plan for the tag team division until after that particular tag team comes back. Because once that team comes back, that will also determine who wins the losing team disbands match next month at Uncensored between the Outsiders and Harlem Heat. Either way, as we move on, Hulk Hogan against the Total Package, and of course, the Hulkster wins his first pay-per-view match back in WCW. But, to no avail, he doesn't have much time to celebrate, as the Hulkster gets attacked following the match by Bret the Hitman Hart, who runs in and attacks Hogan and beats him down, leading some to think that Bret Hart is actually not retired. Because it leaves the casual fans wondering if Bret Hart really retired, and the smarks wondering if this is all a swerve, because the fact that Bret attacked Hogan is pointing to the idea of Hogan versus Bret. But to find out what will happen, you gotta keep watching. Because that's the point of this, to help build intrigue. You take your time and you do it. But like I said, to know for sure what's going to happen with this, you gotta keep watching. Because I'm not gonna spoil it. I know I spoil a lot. Basically, I spoil the tag team title plans, but I'm not spoiling this one. Oh my. Okay, so holding back, physical declining ability, and holding back. Basically, what really penalized Flair was the fact that he's getting old, his age is catching up to him, and his skills are depleting, or going down. And his ability to carry, have a good match with a guy like Scott Steiner is weakening, I guess you could say. But also, segment rating was penalized for booking decisions. Meaning, the game basically is telling me I should have had Ric Flair win the world title from Scott Steiner after Steiner just won the belt last month. The reason why Scott Steiner retained the title, is simple. Because, two reasons. Ric Flair has a more heated feud with Jeff Jarrett, which will come to a head next month at Uncensored, and I'm building up Scott Steiner as world champion, not to have Steiner drop the belt a month after winning the title, more to have Steiner be the guy. Who's he facing next? I think it's possible that he's facing DDP at Uncensored. I don't remember who I had it planned out for, because then he has, the month feud with Flair, and then he goes into a month challenger, and then a 2 or 3 month feud with Hulk Hogan, or another veteran, because WCW needs to establish, at this point in WCW, we need to establish new faces. And Steiner is a new face. Steiner is a new face in the company. You know, that's basically why I went with Hogan coming back and feuding with the NWO, because that's never happened. It's never happened. Steiner's never faced Ric Flair. It never happened. Jeff and Flair never feuded. It never happened. I don't remember if the Harlem Heat ever feuded with the Outsiders, but that's the point, you know? The point of this Let's Play is to fix WCW by doing things that never happened before, and to change things, and to stabilize the company. And the only way you could stabilize the company is by getting them younger, to where the focus isn't on Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan anymore, and where it's not on Randy Savage, or the Outsiders, and it's on the younger, like the Filthy Animals. That's one of the reasons why the Filthy Animals are the tag team champions. You know, that's one of the reasons why the Filthy Animals are tag team champions. And if you can actually sit here and tell me that you're not in the slightest intrigued by Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan's interactions, then I don't know what possibly could make you more intrigued. And yes, to be fair, I think that if this was real WCW, Hulk Hogan would have pushed the main event, but the reason why Hulk Hogan didn't main event is because there was no hype behind his match with Luger, but there was even slightly hype between Steiner and Flair, so with that being the case, Steiner and Flair main evented. And I will say this, that in about 3 weeks, we have Uncensored on pay-per-view, and within the next 2 weeks, a number one contender match will happen on Nitro between two top guys who are not featured in a top match, meaning Hogan will not be featured in it, Flair will not be featured in it, and Luger will not be featured in it. But, point is, a number one contender match will happen upcoming on Nitro, so stay tuned as this learning experience continues, because, as you can tell, we lost popularity in 11 regions from a pretty crappy show, and I blame the crappiness of the show on the fact that Flair wanted to go over. I blame it on Flair. Does that mean I'm going to job Flair out? No. Because that's not financially sound for me. What happens at Uncensored? Well, you'll have to wait to find out. Other than that, I want to hear from you. Do you think that this show deserved a 70? Do you think we should have lost as much as we did? Or do you think that the game's being too hard on us? I want to hear what you guys think down in the comment section. Let me know what your favorite part of the show was. Let me know what your least favorite part of the show was. And let me know if you are still a fan of this Let's Play and the visible direction that I may be going for WCW right now in some cases. And I know it may not be as clear as it is in the other Let's Plays, but the long-term direction maybe finally clearing up. So, with that being said, if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time, later.